A boy named Max comes on the scene as the story of the film starts. He was a warrior. Max was solitary, having no family, because his family came to end when the earth ruined, so he is surviving alone on this barren land. Max observes some vehicles driving towards him. Then, Max they were leading the savage life. But Immortan Joe has all the facilities as meal, water, fuel, etc. And the whole administration was being regulated thereby. Immortan Joe's army used to battle for him. Immortan Joe and his army were also infected by some disease. They were not well. They suffered from such a disease in which blood was required for them. The whole army used to consider Immortan Joe as his god, because they only had fuel, which was their precious wealth. There was nothing except it. Otherwise, the Immortan Joes. But those tribesmen were thought ordinary. When they bring Max as a prisoner there, they state on his back that he is a universal blood donor, because his blood group was O negative. Max tries. Immortan Joe's lungs and liver were damaged, so he had a breathing problem. People used to sloganize his name whenever he stepped outside. For a while, he activates the water system and flows it for the people, and all are crowded to take it. And Immortan Joe used to activate the water system according to his will. Then a lady named Furiosa appears. In fact, she was the daughter of Immortan Joe. Otherwise, she was also the lieutenant of Immortan Joe's army. Furiosa is visiting his nearby area for a deal. Because time had changed and it was seeming difficult to survive, they had patterned their vehicles according to the war. Furiosa is driving war rig while her army was pursuing her. Furiosa changes his track of driving and does not move to their planned place. Immortan Joe notices it that Furiosa has changed his way to travel. He begins to suspect his daughter, Furiosa, so he moves to a cabin where there is a written statement on the floor that, "Your children will not hold the seat of commanders." Immortan Joe had 4 wives because he wanted to extend his generation and later to teach them the art of war. But, moreover, they also have the deadly weapons. One more tribe attacks Furiosa when she is moving towards her destination. All warriors had their own pursuit for this war who had arrived at that place. Immortan wanted to battle Furiosa for his wives, while that tribe wanted to battle for that Furiosa's war rig. It had the fuel which was considered their wealth. Nux reaches Furiosa while driving his vehicle speedily. But Furiosa strikes his vehicle. Then the sandstorm breaks out. It was directing towards them. Nux had reached nearer to Furiosa's war rig, because he had aimed to capture Furiosa at any cost. Even he also thinks about the suicide bombing, so that there may be an explosion and Furiosa's rig stops. They drive further in the sandstorm. Max had knowledge that he will also be dead because of the explosion, so he forbids Nux to do it. At first sight, Nux's vehicles is crashed. Then sight is shown after the sandstorm. Max had restored his sense, but his face was covered with an iron mask. Moreover, he was also tied with Nux. Lifting Nux up, he moves forward. There, Max observes the war rig of Furiosa. He witnesses the wives of Immortan going there. One of Immortan's wives was expectant. Max points his gun on them. He imprisons them. First of all, Max asks them water. Those girls hand him over water pipe. Then he asks a cutter to cut the straps with which he was tied. One of Immortan's wives helps Max. She tries to cut that chain, but of no use. Furiosa notices that Immortan has also joined the people of surroundings with him, and he is moving towards her. Furiosa wants to flee because of having no time, so she attacks Max. Max confronts Furiosa and hits her. Meantime, Nux also attacks Furiosa, coming into senses. Nux cuts chain of Max anger to Furiosa when they witness a large army of Immortan. They say to Furiosa, "We had thought that there will be a small army unit, but it is a large army." Now, Furiosa was getting the wind up regarding dealing, so she had already informed Max the next step which is to be taken, and she had also revealed that code to Max. Feeling threat, Furiosa signaling there, because they had thought that Immortan and his army are going to enter their region. Furiosa tries to get in her war rig, but she is attacked by a biker. Anyhow, Furiosa is survived. Now the way of entrance had been blocked for Immortan, but they were moving forward towards their destination. But those bikers had given her words that she only will be the survivor from here. Immortan and his army are trying to move further through the blocked path. There, Amorden witnesses Nux there and also joins him in his army. While bikers chasing, Furiosa is prepared to discharge his firearm at Furiosa as she approaches the war rig. Then that expectant lady appears before Amorden. Amorden lets her go because she was going to be the mother of his kid. Being the member of Amorden, Nux struggles to move into the war rig of Furiosa. Furiosa and her companions drive forward. One of Amorden's wives comes back and witnesses Nux there. Nux, who was disappointed that he has done nothing profitable. But Amorden's wife satisfies him, and Nux's heart pleases. Now, Nux decides that he will help out wives of Amorden. Furiosa reveals her purpose to Max at night. She tells Max, being a child, I used to live in Meadow. This was the cause, its name was Green Region, and she used to live there with her family. Then, Amorden attacks there and he took Furiosa with him, adopting her. She tells, I want to return to my family so I may survive like a human, because the people are not leading their lives here less than a savage. Then they pass a place which was a marsh where their war rig is entrapped. On the other side, Amorden's army was still pursuing them. The expectant wife of Amorden was emperor at the loss of his kid. Amorden says to his son Giant, you had a brother who has dead. Now that Giant's son was telling everyone there while screaming, I had a brother who has dead now. Contrarily, War Rig was still entrapped in the marsh. They were trying to free it but of no avail. There was also a withered tree. Nux says, we may free our War Rig from it through this tree. They notice that Amorden's close companion is moving towards them. So, Max targets them with his sniper gun. But it is missed. Then, Furiosa targets them. As a result, Amorden companion does not stop and is moving them while firing his gun. Turned barren. Being disheartened, she shouts and weeps. Furiosa's mother tells her, actually that marshy place where you came was the land where we had to sow the seed. But that land has also turned to barrenness. It was meadow land before. The effects of radiations have turned the whole land into barren land. So it happened. They decide at night that they will take the ladies and seeds to a place where there is a chance of survival. It means, it may be meadow land. So they agree, having no option. Max says to Furiosa, see you. Because he was going to start his journey. In the coming morning, they give a bike to Max, and they themselves set out on the bike. But Max begins to visualize his family members, who are wanting to say, help, Furiosa and her companion. Then, Max changes his plan, and he drives his bike back to them. 28:02, 9:04 a.m. 9. Max explains to Furiosa, if you want to start your new life and searching for meadow land, you may return to that place from where you have come. But there was a threat because of Amorden. But Furiosa agrees, trusting in Max. She takes that way from where she had come. It again starts to chase them after knowing that Furiosa and her fellows are returning back. The war breaks out among them here. Max attempts to kill Amorden. That old lady is put to death, who had seeds. Then, Furiosa pulls that Amorden's mouth mask. That mask was stuck with Amorden's face, so his face is more horrified later. Amorden is dead at the spot. Then, Nux sacrifices his life here. He explodes his vehicle. Meanwhile, Furiosa is also fatally wounded, but she had reached her region now. Knowing it that Amorden is dead, his army is excited. They are left shocked seeing that Furiosa has come back, and her upward. Here, Max sets out to his destination, and Furiosa looks at him going. Then a meadow location is shown of that region. As being a commander, Furiosa will amend everything in future. The movie also completes with this.